The disappearance of the savanna is not just the loss of a territory, but the shaking of an ecosystem that has been stable for millions of years. Under the scorching savanna sun, every act of resistance is now more than an instinct against a predator. It is a silent but powerful call that nature needs to be heard, needs to be protected. In the harsh context of the modern African savanna, prey faces more than just the fangs of a predator. Amidst the hot winds and withered vegetation, there are those who are silently rebuilding the lost balance. With awareness, with community, with the belief that nature never completely surrenders. One of the most powerful solutions today is the establishment of ecological corridors that connect isolated, protected areas into a continuous network. The Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area project is a prime example. This is the world's largest transboundary conservation area, covering over 200,000 square miles. Additionally, the sustainable management of water resources is being strengthened to keep the rivers and swamps, the lifeblood of the savanna, from drying out. In Botswana, the government and international organizations have invested over $120 million in the restoration of the Okavango Delta. One of the world's largest inland wetlands. At the community level, one of the most impactful changes has been the empowerment of local communities in the management and protection of natural resources. In Namibia, the community-based natural resource management model has proven effective by transferring control of the land to local communities. Technology has also become a new, crucial tool for the savanna ecosystems. From the use of satellites to track animal migrations, to the use of artificial intelligence to predict wildfire risks. In 2024, Conservation International, in partnership with Google Earth Engine, created real-time maps of drought areas, allowing conservationists to coordinate emergency resources. However, these numbers will remain just dry data if there is no connection between humans and nature. So, the real hope lies not in miracles, but in each concrete action. Whether it is a reopened channel to allow antelope to reach a water source, every small action from the global community can make a big impact for the African savanna and the threatened ecosystems worldwide. Let us choose to consume sustainably. Support credible conservation organizations. Share knowledge and raise awareness about the importance of wildlife. Here, nature is unforgiving. Every rainy season, every drought, every changing river rewrites the balance between predator and prey, between life and death. Yet, beyond the instinct for survival are journeys that span thousands of miles, enduring for generations, where species have learned to adapt, to endure, and to triumph. This is not just the story of one species, but of an entire continent, a story of life in constant motion. Welcome to the Wildlife Documentary. Wildlife, the untold migrations of the savanna wilderness. while the great migrations of millions of animals capture the headlines. Smaller species silently undertake journeys no less significant. These hidden migrations, though less noticed, are the fine but crucial threads that weave the complex ecological tapestry of the savanna. Small antelopes like the dik-dik or the steenbok begin their own migrations. Unlike the vast herds of wildebeest, these antelope move in small groups, often just a few individuals or even alone. With their slender bodies, large, watchful eyes, and nimble legs, they navigate narrow paths, avoiding the main routes of the larger herds. Their journeys may not span hundreds of miles, but they are fraught with danger, from stealthy leopards to sudden flash floods. The dik-dik, so small it stands only knee-high to a human, moves seasonally in search of young shrubs and tender leaves. Its primary food, it does not need the vast grasslands of the wildebeest. But its survival depends on the patches of land where the rain brings forth rare green shoots. Their journey often takes place at night, when the darkness shields them from the eyes of predators. Every step is a delicate dance. The Egyptian sand viper, a small but mysterious reptile, is a master of camouflage in the hot, sandy desert. Unlike larger snakes like pythons or cobras, the Egyptian sand viper is compact, only 8 to 14 inches long. This snake does not undertake long migrations like the antelope, but survives by lying in wait, patiently ambushing its prey. Buried in the sand, with only its keen eyes exposed, it strikes with lightning speed when a small lizard or insect passes by. The sand viper's survival is a silent dance. Every movement is calculated to avoid the scorching heat of the day and the cold desert nights. In the sky, where vultures circle and hawks soar, smaller waterbirds undertake migrations that often go unnoticed. Storks, cranes, and spoonbills, with their delicate but resilient wings, fly hundreds of miles in search of the wetlands born from the rainy season. One notable waterbird is the yellow-billed stork, with its pristine white plumage and long, slender legs. They travel in small flocks, often just a few dozen, flying low over the water in search of newly flooded areas. Their journey is not just for food, but for breeding. As the floods create wetlands, the storks build their nests in half-submerged trees, laying their eggs and raising their young. When the first rains revive the savanna, the giants of the wilderness begin their journey. Herds of African elephants, massive creatures imbued with a primal strength, move slowly but with a majestic presence. Leading the herd are the seasoned matriarchs, the keepers of generational memory. The instinct of the elephant is a wonder of nature. The matriarchs, often having lived for decades, carry a living map of the savanna within them. They remember the underground water sources hidden deep within the earth. the winding paths through dense forests, and even the lands scorched by past droughts. An old matriarch can pinpoint the location of a waterhole she visited decades ago, even if the landscape has been altered by wind, rain, or fire. The elephant's journey is not just a search for food. It is a pilgrimage. Every step is a connection to their ancestors, to the land, and to life itself. As they move, the young calves, with their small ears and clumsy trunks, learn from their mothers and grandmothers. They watch how the elders use their trunks to sniff the air for signs of water. The rainy season, with its intense downpours, brings life to the savanna. The arid grasslands now sprout lush green shoots, providing an abundant food source for elephants, wildebeest, and buffalo. The wildebeest and buffalo, their companions on the savanna, also take advantage of the rainy season to graze on fresh grass, building up strength for the journey ahead. But the rain also brings danger. The ancient paths, once dry and easy to travel, turn into muddy quagmires. The rivers, mere trickles in the dry season, now roar with powerful currents, ready to sweep away any creature that dares to cross. For the elephant herds, these rivers are a major challenge. The small calves cling to their mothers to avoid being carried away by the current. The wildebeest and buffalo face similar dangers. The flooded grasslands slow their pace, making them vulnerable to predators. On this journey, the giants do not travel alone. They carry with them their sentinels, their private guard. It is an ancient pact. In exchange for sustenance, the oxpecker offers its eyes. A piercing cry is the price of passage, a signal that can mean the difference between life and a sudden, violent death. On the savanna, the terrain shapes not only the path of the herbivores, but also the strategy of the predators. The lion, the king of the wild, understands this better than anyone. But the lion does not rely on brute force alone. They are master strategists, using the landscape to turn narrow corridors into perfect traps. These corridors are often bottlenecks on the migration routes, a small canyon between two hills. A narrow strip of land between rivers, or a grassland bordering a thicket. The lions know this. They lie hidden in the tall grass, their bodies blending with the golden hue of the savanna, their breathing slow but alert. A lead lioness, honed by years of hunting, signals her pride with subtle flicks of her tail. The other lionesses, often her sisters or daughters, move into position. As the herd approaches, tension fills the air. The thundering of hooves, the cries of lost young, and the smell of dust create a chaotic scene. Yet the lions remain still, as patient as ghosts. Then, in a fleeting moment when a young or weak wildebeest strays from the herd, the ambush is sprung. Not every hunt is successful. The wildebeest, though prey, are not easily defeated. With their vast numbers and strong survival instincts, they can form a living wall. A young, inexperienced lion risks serious injury if it targets a healthy wildebeest. In these moments, the savanna becomes an arena where the predator's strength is pitted against the prey's unity. If the lion is a patient strategist, then the hyena is a relentless opportunist, with its eerie calls echoing in the night. The hyena embodies persistence and ruthlessness. Lacking the overwhelming power of the lion, it compensates with fearsome intelligence and unparalleled stamina. During the migrations, hyenas shadow the zebra herds, keeping just enough distance to remain undetected. The zebras, with their striking black and white stripes, move in tight formations, protecting one another from danger. But the long journey of hundreds of miles across the savannah drains their strength. The young, the old, or the injured fall behind, becoming prime targets. This is when the hyenas strike. Unlike the lion, the hyena rarely attacks a healthy herd head-on. Instead, it waits patiently. Hyenas are not just predators. They are scavengers, ready to steal kills from lions or cheetahs. A pack of hyenas, with their superior numbers, can force a lone lion to abandon its prey. The clashes between hyenas and lions are noisy battles, where the roar of the lion mixes with the cold, laugh-like calls of the hyena, creating a chaotic symphony of the savannah. On the savannah, every ambush is a battle for survival, where speed, stamina, and strategy determine who lives and who falls. For herbivores like the wildebeest and the zebra, speed is their greatest weapon. A wildebeest can reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour in seconds. The zebra, though not as fast, possesses remarkable stamina, maintaining a high speed over long distances to exhaust a predator. But speed alone is not always enough. Stamina is just as crucial, especially during migrations that span hundreds of miles. Conversely, predators also need stamina to keep up with their prey. The herbivores have their own strategies. Wildebeest move in large herds, creating a chaos that makes it difficult for a predator to single out a target. Zebras, with their disorienting striped patterns, confuse predators, making it hard to identify an individual in the herd. A wildebeest might pretend to run slowly to draw out a predator, then suddenly bolt. A lion might feign giving up the chase, only to strike again when the prey is off guard. In these ambushes, there are no true winners or losers. Lions and hyenas, though fearsome predators, play a vital role in maintaining the balance of the savanna. By culling the weak, the old, or the sick, they ensure that only the fittest individuals survive to pass on their genes. Conversely, the prey shapes the destiny of the predators through their resilience and strategy. On the African savanna, where life and death are intertwined in every breath, nature is not just a stage, but a formidable opponent. When the rainy season arrives, bringing with it endless floods, muddy plains, and raging rivers, the migration of millions of wildebeest, zebras, and buffalo becomes a brutal battle against the elements. When the first rains fall, the savanna transforms in an instant. The arid grasslands, once scorched by the dry season's sun, are now submerged in water. For the wildebeest and the zebra, which rely on speed for survival, the mud is a fearsome enemy. Their slender legs, designed for sprinting across the plains, sink deep into the thick mud, slowing them down. A herd of zebras, their black and white stripes shimmering in the sun, moves slowly through a flooded plain. The young foals, with their weak legs, stumble in the knee-deep mud. In these moments, nature spares neither prey nor predator. All must face the brutality of the land. The floods do not just slow movement, they turn the grasslands into deadly traps. The low-lying areas where rainwater collects into temporary lakes become invisible snares. If the mud is an unseen enemy, then the raging rivers are the most terrifying challenge of the migration. Rivers like the Mara, the Grumeti, or the Chobe, mere trickles in the dry season, become roaring beasts in the rainy season. For the wildebeest, zebra, and buffalo, crossing these rivers is not a choice, but a command of survival. When a herd of wildebeest, numbering in the tens of thousands, gathers on the banks of the Mara River, the air becomes thick with tension. Beneath the murky surface, dangers lurk. The roar of the rushing water mixes with the cries of the young wildebeest, creating a chaotic symphony of life. Then, as if driven by an unseen signal, one wildebeest leaps into the water, triggering a stampede of thousands. But the river is merciless. The young wildebeest, too weak to fight the current, are swept away, their small bodies disappearing in the flow. The zebras, with their incredible stamina, try to swim across, but even they cannot always defy the power of nature. Beneath the murky waters of the river, another threat awaits: the Nile crocodile. These monsters, up to 20 feet long, with jaws lined with razor-sharp teeth, are the perfect assassins of the savannah. With deadly patience, the crocodiles wait for the perfect moment to strike, turning the rivers into bloody arenas. For the crocodile, time is not measured in days, but by the coming of the herds. An ancient rhythm beats in its cold blood, a memory not of years, but of seasons of abundance. It is an appointment with destiny, and they travel for miles to keep it, drawn to this place by a promise of blood written in the river's current. This calculation shows a level of intelligence and learning far beyond what we typically associate with reptiles. Not all prey falls easily. A buffalo, with its immense strength and sharp horns, can fight back, goring a crocodile and escaping its jaws. But for the young or weak animals, rivers like the Mara are a gauntlet that few survive. Each year, thousands of wildebeest and zebras perish in the rivers. Under the scorching African sun, every challenge of nature, from floods and mud to raging rivers, is part of an endless cycle of life and death. Every wildebeest that drowns, every zebra dragged underwater by a crocodile, is a price paid for the herd to continue its journey. But death is not an end. It is part of a renewal where every fallen creature nourishes another. In the harshness of nature, every loss is part of a larger tapestry. The wildebeest herds, despite losing thousands in each migration, continue to thrive with new calves born each year. Above all, the savannah lives, breathes, and tells its story through every drop of rain, every river, and every footstep of the creatures that call it home. When the last rains have fallen and the sun once again scorches the savanna, the dry season returns, bringing with it a harsh silence. The lush grasslands turn yellow and brittle. The rivers recede, and the wetlands dry into cracked earth. Yet, even in this harshness, the savanna never stops moving. The migration sparked by the rains now reverses. The wildebeest, zebra, and buffalo return to their lands, awaiting the next rainy season. As the dry season arrives, the migration routes become journeys of return. The wildebeest, having left the Serengeti for the Masai Mara, now head back, guided by instincts honed over millions of years. The zebras, after grazing on the mineral-rich salt pans of Botswana, return to the wetlands of the Chobe River. The African elephants, with their remarkable memory, lead their herds back to the arid lands in search of hidden underground water sources. This return journey is no less perilous. Without the floods or the raging rivers, the dry season brings new challenges. Water becomes increasingly scarce, and the grasslands are depleted. The weak, old or young, who survived the rainy season now face the culling of the dry season. Yet, in this harshness, the savanna forges new generations, preparing them for the challenges to come. When the dry season arrives, a miracle takes place: the birth of new generations. The wildebeest calves, with their trembling legs and wide eyes, take their first steps just hours after birth.